So some of the worst things that could possibly happen could be coming true. And I don't want to sound like too much of a black pillar to begin with, but we got to be aware of what's coming around the corner. And first and foremost, we got to talk about House Resolution number 1, otherwise known as the For the People Act. Doesn't sound terrible now, does it? Yeah, neither did the Patriot Act. Well, what does this propose to do? We have been collecting over the years non-citizen maintenance data for voter state registration rolls, and here's how it works. That's what Christian Adams, the president for the Public Interest Legal Foundation, found when he took a look at, this really truly egregious House resolution. People apply to register to vote when they are non-citizens, and sometimes they announce they are non-citizens on the registration form. It says, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" They mark the box no, and they get registered to vote anyhow, and it's not until years later that it is discovered in a meaningful way, and they begin voting in American elections. Yeah, uninterrupted until it's like, oh, okay, actually, are you an American citizen yet? No? Oh, okay. We'll process this in a timely fashion, and in the next 3 or 4 cycles, you should get another note in the mail. But here is the 2021 version of this. It's been tried before, but because the Democrats own, every level of federal government right now, this one becomes especially troublesome based on what it purports to do. So in a January 15th statement, John Sarbanes, I guess, from a Democrat from Maryland, "My colleagues and I have made House Resolution 1 our first priority this year because our democracy, remember that, is in a deep state of deep disrepair. We witnessed it during the 2020 election, where Americans across the country had to overcome rampant voter suppression, gerrymandering, and a torrent of special interest dark money just to exercise their right to vote." Oh boy, there's a whole host of things I could say right there, but I think you guys know what they are, and YouTube won't allow me to elaborate any further. Sarbanes said the bill was needed because Americans of all political stripes are incredibly frustrated with the chaos, corruption, and inaction, not the way that you think there, Johnny, and inaction that plagued our politics and block progress on many efforts that benefit hardworking families. Like you care. You'd rather have their fathers and their mothers out of work anyways and on the government tit. Okay. What does this want to do nationwide? As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff, and we got to run through it fairly quickly. In addition to hiding non-citizen registration records, the current version of the House Resolution 1 includes a Democratic wish list of changes in virtually every aspect of campaigning and voting in federal elections. The most notable of the provisions are nationwide online voting registration with minimal verification requirements. Yup. All you need to do is just type in a name and type in your address. Do you need to verify any of that? Nah, fuck, that's racist. Why would you want to have that on there? And yeah, you'll get a vote. You'll get a vote. Everybody in the house will get a vote. Anybody who's registered at that address, you think they're going to double check it? Fuck, you don't even have to live here and you can still get a vote. Nationwide same-day registration, because there was nothing weird that happened before when that happened in several of the states. Nationwide automatic voter registration unless an individual specifically requests not to be registered. Now that should tip off leftists who don't want to be controlled by the government. They already have a distinct level of paranoia when it comes to tracking anyways, and it happens on the other side of the aisle as well. But they're purporting to do here is you have to opt out so that you don't get put on a voter registration list, which were always used in order to collect more information and to set up the nationwide draft boards. So, you'd probably have to jump through quite a few hoops in order to not be registered. Nationwide legalization of ballot harvesting. Okay, why don't you just have something where you can only take the ballots of everyone in your household, okay? That I'd be fine with, okay? But collecting everybody in your neighborhood's ballots and then bringing them to the drop boxes or to the election offices, that's a little bit fucked up, okay? I'm not against ballot harvesting when it's people in your home. That's fine. But outside of that, no. Nationwide registration for 16 and 17-year-olds. There you go. So as soon as you turn 18, you can go ahead and get your mail-in ballot. Nationwide availability of mail-in ballots with minimal screening qualifications. Yup. All you need to do is just request one. Oh, sometimes, yeah, you don't even have to worry about that. You can get 3 or 4 shipped to your house. Nationwide restoration of felons' voting rights. I've been through this again, but for your posterity's sake, I'll reiterate my point. Violent felons, murderers, what have you, that get out, rapists, people who actually commit a crime against somebody else should not be allowed to vote. I think that your voice has been significantly diminished in that respect, and you know what? I don't think your input's going to really much matter. If it's a non-violent offense, and for some reason you've been charged in a federal court after your time has been served, by all means, feel free to restore those. I'd be willing to move my position on that if, you know what, they've been properly rehabilitated in the corrections facilities, then, you know what, that's fine, okay? I could live with that, but, you know what, violent people that somehow find their way back onto the streets, no, I don't think that your vote is going to count as much as somebody who's, you know, stuck on the straight and narrow throughout their entire life. But then again, I'm just for tighter and more restrictive voting rights anyways. And voting's a privilege, it shouldn't be a right. Placing redistricting processes under supervision of congressionally mandated independent commissions. Oh, we'll get back to independent commissions in a minute. Restructuring federal election commissions from a current bipartisan requirement to the majority party control. Nothing wrong could go with that. Oh yeah, okay, so the party who's in control right now can just go ahead and control how the elections are conducted. What could possibly go wrong? Permitting members of Congress to draw salary from campaign funds in addition to official compensation. Wow. So instead of having to redistribute all of the money that you got during your fundraising for your campaign, and then it just goes back to the DNC or the RNC or whatever the libertarians do with money. They fucking try to roll it up and use it as doobie paper. I couldn't sound like an older human being there. But nah, you can just go ahead and keep that and, I don't know, give yourself a little bit of a bonus, I suppose. And findings to support statehood for the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. Wow! It seems like actually one of those two things on the bottom line. Okay, everything on this list sucks, and it is probably just the points that were in that entire bill that were picked out specifically for this article, because none of these are good. I don't like any of these, and I especially find the Democrats trying to pack the Senate by including statehood for the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico especially egregious. And I thought that maybe they might have been just a little bit too ambitious for what they have access to right now. But that's not going to stop him from trying. Okay, we already seen the House resolutions put forward by the likes of Cory Bush, and then it's been seconded by AOC about trying to abolish anybody from the Senate or from the House that voted to contest the counting of the electoral votes, and many other stupid things that they've tried in the interim. But Democrats introduced legislation to make D.C. the 51st state. Yep. So that would make Puerto Rico the 52nd state if this one's successful. Congressional Democrats introduced legislation on Wednesday that would make Washington, D.C. the 51st state in the union. Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton, a non-voting Democrat, there we go, who represents D.C. in the House of Representatives, introduced the measure to the House, while Senator Tom Caper of Delaware introduced the same legislation to the Senate. Norton said that she had more than 200 co-sponsors in the House as of Tuesday evening. Of course, it's all the Democrats that just want to go ahead and create a couple more safe havens for assured House and Senate seats. There's never been a time when statehood for the district was more likely, Norton said in a statement, adding the bill has passed by the House last year for the first time and now had a record of 202 co-sponsors, with the Senate companion bill also gaining co-sponsor. Okay, well, I'd like to see the names on that, even though it really doesn't much matter. They're all fucking nuts anyways. We're ready to achieve voting representation and full local self-government of the 712,000 residents in the District of Columbia. Well, you still vote for a mayor. You're still just the city. Most of you people that work in D.C. reside in Virginia and have, as a result, turned that entire state blue. So you just want another state where you can have, 1 or 2 electoral votes in the college, and just to create 2 more senators, so that you'd most assuredly create a much larger hurdle for Republicans in the future, because it's just the city, and cities aren't turning red. It sucks, but that's just fact. Norton said that both House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Majority Leader Steny Hoyer had committed to bringing the bill to the floor for a vote, with Democratic control of the House and Senate, as well as support of President Joe Biden. Norton said that this is the time we can finally correct this historic injustice and give DC residents the same rights as other tax-paying Americans. Go fuck your mother. It is unlikely that the vote will receive support from at least 10 Republicans, according to the NBC News. Oh, okay, yeah, so it would need 3/5 delegation in the Senate, so... As much as the 2/3 majority for Trump's impeachment trial in the Senate to go through, you still need an extra 5. We know the 5 that are going to be voting for or with the Democrats on the impeachment, and never going to pass. But they need another 5 to just dilute their own position. I don't see this fucking likely. But again, it's another one of these ridiculous things. Just like I just remembered, it was the Electoral College abolition legislation that was getting put through. It wouldn't pass. But the fact that they are trying it right now just stands as a statement of intent. This is the first time we're going to see it. First time where it might pass through the House, but it's not the last time that this isn't going to pop up in political discourse. But okay, so in the past week, it's only been a week, we've seen legislation come out to abolish the Electoral College and now create statehood for DC, and then also express interest in creating statehood for Puerto Rico as well. What was another question? And something that far right or far left Democrats were pushing for a long time. And you know what? Ever since RBG shuffled off this mortal coil, transcended into hyperverse, the calls to pack the court because, oh my gosh, my 6-3 majority for Democrats or for Republicans, that's just too much. And oh, Roe v. Wade, my pussy, I need it scraped out because I'm a degenerate whore. I have no sympathy. We need to pack the court. And then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were rather silent on, giving a definitive statement saying whether or not they would or would not pack the court. Well, we might have an answer. Biden creates a bipartisan court packing commission led by Democrat election lawyer Bob Bauer. Yes, bipartisan court packing commission led by Democratic election lawyer. This is not going to end well. This is really not going to end well. Hopefully all those idiots who decided to sit out the election challenge lawsuit from Texas, some extra room in those Supreme Court chambers. President Joe Biden has begun appointing members of the special commission that will consider expanding the Supreme Court, among other reforms. Some Democrats have proposed packing the court. Some, yes, a lot of them, by expanding the number of justices and filling the resultant vacancies with left-wing judges. No, I think he'd be fair. He's setting up a bipartisan council, after all. The goal is to eliminate the court's current nominal 6-3 conservative majority. It's really 5-4. Come on, let's be honest. Let's look at Robert's voting record. With Democrats, like former Attorney General Eric Holder's claim undermines its legitimacy. What, appointing people who fucking aren't 900 years old to sit on the court? Yeah, sorry, pal, them be the breaks. But Eric Holder's also been pushing for the abolition of the Electoral College as well, so what can you expect? Biden dodged questions about court packing throughout the fall of 2020 until announcing his plan to create a commission to study the issue. As Breitbart News reported late in October, Biden confirmed to reporters in Chester, Pennsylvania that he would create a bipartisan commission to study reforms to the judiciary and that it would report to him within 180 days of him taking office in January. Trying to figure out which political loopholes they can go ahead and work through in order to submit a list in front of the old man for him to pick a couple of names that he likes. Oh, and by a couple, I mean something like 6. I think that's the going rate right now, but we'll see what the commission finds. Politico reported Wednesday that the bipartisan commission will be chaired by Biden's former campaign lawyer, Bob Bauer, a career Democrat operative who also worked for the Perkins Coie firm? Sure. Perkins Coie was involved in the Russia dossier on then-candidate Donald Trump in 2016, and an election law practice headed by Mark Elias led Democrats' filings throughout the 2020 presidential election and its aftermath. Politico added, among those who will be in the commission are Christina Rodriguez, a professor at Yale Law School and a former deputy assistant attorney general in the Obama Department of Justice, who will join Bauer as co-chair. Caroline Frederickson, the former president of the American Constitutional Society, and Jack Goldsmith, a Harvard law professor and former assistant attorney general in the Bush Department of Justice. I don't see any bipartisanship here. Will also serve on the commission, those familiar with the discussion said. Yeah, this is just a justification brigade. I don't see anything else by it. And The Constitution itself is kind of vague on packing the court. It's more or less just been an agreement between both parties that the president wouldn't appoint any new additional justices to the Supreme Court. Kind of like all the hoopla about sorry for the strong language, about the filibuster, and abolishment of that became a simple majority in the Senate in order for it to no longer occur. But there's enough support to keep it going that it's just going to, continue. The party in power can always get rid of it because of that being a political tool always on the table. But because they made the Supreme Court, and I'm talking about the entirety of the government, they made the Supreme Court just such a hyper-partisan wing of government going forward. This is the logical end of this, okay? There's no rule saying that they can't do it, so they're sure as fuck gonna try. And as you've seen with the Electoral College and additional statehoods, even if it is explicitly ruled against, they'll find a way to figure out how to get rid of it and secure their powers forever. Just when you thought the Democrats were all about unity and healing, they were telling you they could probably make that happen in 4 years, but they just, setting up a contingency plan in case it takes a little bit longer, and they want to make it, and they want to stretch it out for decades and decades ahead. Thank you all for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.